Good afternoon, ma'am.
Okay. Good afternoon to all.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, anybody there? Can somebody respond?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we start the session today. As I asked you last time, when you said that please continue in AI only. So I thought I'm going to talk about security in AI, and that's a session today. So just give me a few seconds. I'll just start the slide. And also a little bit, I'm going to talk about NLP and computer vision. So I'll start with that. The first half of the session will be on NLP and computer vision, and then we will go to the session of AI in security. So how do you use AI in security? That also we are going to speak about that. Okay. So let's start. So I'll just keep my video off. Reason being, there is it's raining heavily, and you hope know that. So the internet is fluctuating. You just give me a few seconds. Okay. So I hope all of you can see the slide. Okay. So wherever you wish, you can just put in the chat certain questions, and I may be able to answer if you wish to. So as I said, the first half session is going to be on the one of the few domains of AI we will touch upon, and one of the domain of the AI. Just a minute. Okay, just give me a few seconds. I'll just change the place because here, no, I'm not able to see the screen properly. Okay, students, let's start. Okay, so we're going to talk about NLP today and the computer vision. So most of you might have done this course where you have gone through various domains of AI, and one of the domain which we are going to discuss how it is used in management, business, or any other field. We're going to talk about that. Okay, so if you remember, one of the session I was talking about no code AI, and we learned. I think it was a last session only, where in the last session we discussed about how we use a certain platform. I showed you the platform of Google, which is a table machine with google.com, and in that we uploaded. If I revise that session, we have taken a business problem where a tire manufacturing company want to identify the quality of the tires. So they want to upload a picture of the tire, and they want the computer to identify whether the picture is, what you called the good tire or defective tire. So that was about computer vision, images. And the next thing about is that, see, the computer works on data, AI works on data, and the data can be in any form. It can be a image data, which we have discussed in no code AI, where we took the pictures of dogs, also mobs, also, if you remember, and we tried to make computer train the AI model to classify between a dog and a mob, right? And similarly with the good tires and bad defective tires. So that was the image data. So what is related to computer vision, that also I'm going to talk about. So I'm going to just connect the last session with this session. And then we also want to discuss about NLP, which is natural language processing. It's all about text and the audio. So how do a particular computer integrated with AI solution understand the text, understand the voice command, or maybe the audio data? So we all know that human language is very complex. Especially if you look into India, we have different languages spoken in different part of the country. And if we talk about computers, it's not possible for the computer, even it's not possible for the human being to understand all kind of language. We may understand some language, we may not understand some language. So similarly, if we want to build a capability into a computers with AI integrated so that it can understand the language in which the AI is being trained, but then again the AI should know how to understand the language spoken by different kind of people in different way. We call it accent, right? Or maybe so that's one which we are going to talk about. 20% of our system is structured, and most of the see data what we get on day to day basis, these data, out of that 20% is structured, rest of the data is unstructured. Like for example, if you look into the social media sites, or like tweet, or maybe the messengers like WhatsApp, there are a lot of textual information which comes where you chat with somebody. Sometimes you send an audio message also to someone. Okay, so in order to get insight from this data, it is important to do something called text analysis and use a technique of AI called NLP. So NLP is natural language processing, which is a part of the computer science and artificial intelligence. It deals with understanding and interpreting human language. Okay, so it's a part of computer science, and NLP is also one of the domain of AI, and it deals with understanding the human language, whether in the text form, like in social medias. Most of the company do something called sentiment analysis, where the reviews are analyzed by the AI and they understand and put them into three categories. Like you just go back into the last session where we try to train computer with a set of data to classify two different things. So similarly here also, we in e-commerce company, when the review comes, this review can be categorized into the positive review, negative review, or one more category can be there, which is neutral, where the person doesn't have any good or bad opinion. It's neutral review. It's very important data for a company, because the company wants to understand whether the product is liked or it is moving with the customer or not, and they can keep the inventory of that product or not. So those kinds of analysis, sentiment analysis, mining, text mining, all these, or text analytics, basically use natural language processing. Okay, so now one of the most challenging and revolutionary thing in the AI is to make machines speak, write, listen, and understand human language. So NLP is a form of AI that extract the meaning from the human spoken language, right, to make a decision or based on that information, because everything is based on that. Okay, so that's what is shown in the screen. So this technology is still evolving, students. There are already many incredible way where natural language processing is used today. So I'm going to highlight some of the everyday use of natural language processing. And in that course of time, there are 5 amazing examples of how natural language processing is transforming businesses. So being a business management faculty, I focus more on businesses. So I'm sorry about any other field, but then it may have impact on our day-to-day life, and you may understand from those examples that what I'm trying to tell you and what through that example. So natural language processing is the ability of the computer program to understand human language as it is spoken and written. Okay, so that is referred as natural language. And then the P part is processing by the computer. How do we train a AI model to understand a spoken and written language in any form? Right. So it's a component of AI. And NLP is not a very new term. It is existing for more than 50 years now. And uh, it has its roots also in the field of linguistics. So it has a variety of real world applications. Okay. And which can be in the field of, for example, medical research. In US, when a patient go to a doctor, the doctor basically, whatever he's prescribing is recorded because it's a law over there. I was speaking about HIPAA law. Similarly, there is a law which basically allow the legal representation if the patient is not happy or if you feel that the treatment which was done was not proper. So in that case, those are called medical transcriptions. So that audio recording is converted into the text messages. So that's how, even in the search engine also, you can give a command. So that's one thing. So what is NLP, students, as I told? So natural language processing is an area of research and computer science which focus on processing natural language such as English. It can be any other language also, maybe German or any other. In India, there are a lot of banks which are using NLP to, if you remember one of the example I gave you, in bank, they have something called vernacular AI, where a person can speak in Gujarati or Bengali or any other language, but the computer understand that, and again, he can get the answer in that language. So that's one thing which is happening. Even Google Translator is just like that. So when we say in NLP, natural language processing, what does processing mean? So just a minute. So what happens in the processing? The processing means that AI tried to extract or interpret the meaning of human language. I always jokingly when I teach this, I give example of the movie PK. I don't know how many of you have seen that. In PK, if you remember a scene where Anushka Sharma and Amir Khan was in a jail, and Anushka Sharma was asking this person about something, and this person is saying that it's your language, Indian language, Hindi is very funny, and it said that one word can have different meaning the way you speak and what the context of that. So if you remember, the context is important here. So, for example, he said that acha can mean many things. It depends on what kind of context, what kind of expression you are giving. So, can machine think a context? Because one word can mean different things in different situation and different context. So that's where the natural language processing is used. So if we highlight some of the everyday use of natural language processing, so what happens normally, there are certain kinds of text classification or text generations, or sometimes in the FAQ also you get some kind of a question, answering questions to demonstrate this understanding. So there was a book which is named as Mathematical Linguistic, and this is a very nice book. If you want, you can read this book. It's really helpful when we want to understand deeply into NLP. So NLP is like a kind of a child who spent actually few days to acquire a language. If you see a child when it's born and when he starts speaking, it will take 2 years or 1.5 to 2 years, depends. And what happens after that? The child start learning the language on its own, depending on what language he's hearing. I had one friend who was working and her child was spending most of the time with the maid, and the maid was speaking Malayali. And the child learned how to interact in Malayali. And the child also learned different. So that's the reason, that's a way we want to adapt the same model to make the AI learn the language. Okay. So the scientists who attempt to model the relevant phenomena, or the engineers who attempt to build a system that deal with natural language input and output, are basically keeping that logic in mind, which I just told. So these tasks are very important because you need to have a better understanding. It's not one word or two word. It can be a one entire paragraph. The context should be understood. So So when we humans are great users of language, we're also very poor at formally understanding and describing the rules, right? There can be different rules. Sometimes we break the rules while we are speaking. So NLP is a challenging and important area of research till today, though it has been developed 50 years back, but it is still in a very challenging situation. In a sentence classification, uh, because it does something called tokenization and all those kinds, which I will tell you. Like just now, I gave you example of sentiment analysis where people provide review, after buying a product. Some people provide, and they want to actually determine whether the review is positive or negative. So we may provide, some people may provide review in 2 sentences, and some may write a paragraph. Some may just write certain words in a shortcut form. Like you youngsters have a habit in a WhatsApp message to use, a kind of a shortcut language, right? So all those kinds of things can NLP understand, okay? Can it understand? So So the financial institutions are basically interested in the application for new customers. If the company want to set up a new account, there are several checks the company makes. One example I'm giving you here. If a company trade in only low risk countries and its main business activity is considered as a low risk, then how does a company basically, when they want to make an account, especially in India, 1 minute. So one of the very important challenge in India is about, I'm just giving you an example what government did a few years back. It was a challenge that how does the people never used to go to the bank because they have to communicate in certain language, or they have to fill a form which will be either in English or maybe in Hindi maximum. So some of these people know the local languages, and even when they go to the app, because the branches are not there, and if the people now, most of the rural India is also on internet and also connected, so on the app it was very difficult because they won't understand and are not willing to fill the form in any language. So at that point of the time, the government integrated in the app and asked all the bank, even the RBI instructed all the bank to use the vernacular AI. And they integrated so that if the people are speaking in any language, the app, the NLP understand the language, interpret the meaning, and give the answer in the same language. Okay. So let's take some of the example. The simple function of NLP is to facilitate understanding of human language. That's what we have highlighted till now. So let's take an example of social media monitoring. So NLP-based tools like Buffer can help businesses to monitor social media channel. For example, if suppose I'll just give you one example what happened. So a few years back, 4 years or 5 years back, Maharashtra, voting was happening and state elections was happening, and elections results were very confusing. So there were a lot of confusion, and it went for another 1 year after results were announced. And after that, also the government was not formed. So different people came on social media platforms, especially on Twitter, and started giving various kinds of comment. So one of the person was commenting that the Maharashtra election results have become just like Amazon, ordering something on Amazon and not getting the order delivered. Now just see the intelligent bot which look for mentioning of their brand on the social media site and pick up those kinds of, which is called text mining or data mining. So they'll pick up those kinds of sentences from the social media challenge where their brand name is mentioned and try to understand whether it is positive or negative. So when this person gave a kind of a example to relate it with Amazon, the intelligent bot replied, I'm so sorry to hear that you were in, you have complaints, and we will make sure that your complaint is resolved. And everybody make a mockery of the Amazon, because Amazon one of the biggest company in IT. So that's where the NLP has to understand the context, what I'm trying to mean. So Buffer can help business to monitor for media channel for mention of their brand and also to understand what the customers talking about their brand is positive, neutral, or it is something else, like just like I gave example. Okay, so this is what is a sentiment analysis. Every e-commerce company does that. They try to find out which are how many positive reviews or comments are there in the social media site, how many negative, and how many neutrals are there. Just a minute. Sorry about that. So what example I was trying to give you, students, were text classification. Okay, so what happens, the text classification, basically where the text input can be sorted by topic and by context or tonality of that. That means whether you have to understand the context and the expression in that, whether it is said in a sarcastic way, whether it is said in a a happy way, or whether the person is telling in a what way. So this application, what it happens is this aids buffer, which I told you, in filtering the spam, one, the language identification, the sentiment analysis of product review, and also the characterization, right? Whether what is the kind of a context. So one more example I'll give you, which is a Google autocomplete feature. So Google autocomplete feature also uses something which is where it tries to complete the sentence to give you a better and narrow down your research. For example, if you're searching, are you right, equipment financing, and immediately it will give you all the words which can be searched with that. Like for example, agreement or leasing, these are the common searches. It gives you that. So this autocomplete feature is also one of the example of NLP. Are you clear? So the next thing is about sentiment analysis. Already I told you. The one more example is target advertisement. Target advertisements. Okay, fine. On the slide we have something called the Google Translator. The Google Translator, for example, you are in Rome, and everything is written in some language which you're not able to understand. So you can just, from the Google Translator, just take a picture of that, and it will translate in the English language for you and tell you the things. Okay, so that is one thing. The next very important example is about the target marketing. So target marketing, or sorry, target advertisement. Online advertisement where ads are shown to the user based on their online activities. Most of the online companies today uses this approach, which saves company a lot of money in giving relevant ad to the people who don't require. So you have to make sure, today we're living in a personalization world where one size fit for all doesn't work. So you have to have a relevant ad shown only to potential customers. So NLP helps in targeting advertisement using a technical techniques called keyword matching. Okay, those who are in basically in digital marketing will understand what I'm saying. Then again, the other example is email categorization. So Gmail also, you will be surprised to know that Gmail is also, though it's free till 15 GB, but even in the 15 GB free, it uses NLP to group the email we receive. So you must have seen that the emails are categorized into 3 tabs: primary, social, and promotions. So in case if you have not seen this, now after this particular session, you can go ahead and check the Gmail. The Gmail will show you 3 tabs now: primary, social, and promotions. All the personal mails will go into primary, the mails which are in your contact list. And the notification which comes from social media like Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn, or maybe it's a Twitter or Pinterest, this social media platform email which is coming will or the newsletters from the company like banks and all, which has a signed up, maybe the user might have signed up for that newsletters, will come into, they will categorize into promotion. It will come, but it will come as a promotional mail. So how does they understand that? Then is so the social media mail will go into social, your contact mails will go into primary, and the promotional mails which comes from the companies will go into promotion. We'll have the label as promotion. So though it is not totally perfect, but NLP is the technique which helps in identifying and evaluating the content within the mail and try to categorize so that you can easily understand which is a promotional mail, which is a primary mail, and which is a social mail. One more example I can give you is automatic summarization. So while NLP is known to help you in autocorrect, even in the Gmail also you have NLP, where NLP is integrated into a software called Grammarly. So Grammarly is also integrated into Google now. So when you try to type now, you type the name of the person or email of the person. The email of the person can be something, it can be Rocky123. But the name of the person is associated in the account where he has given his account in his name also. So when you're trying to say dear, it try to conclude the name of the person in the greeting. When you're writing something, for example, you write something here, you find attached documents and you forget to attach it. So when you're trying to send, immediately you get a message which says that you forgot to send the attachment. Would you like to send it without attachment? So these are the way and how it happens, because the NLP try to understand the documents which is sent and summarize it and take certain kinds of keywords and try to do, and this they do it with machine learning analyzer. So this is one thing. One more example, if you remember, during first few sessions, I told about healthcare industry, how they use in early prediction of diseases. One example I gave you, the Google research paper on the lung cancer. So NLP has enabled recognition and prediction of various disease based on health record. So most of the hospitals are now creating a digital records. So you don't have to carry your record file with you. Even in India also it is there. And sometimes even the patient's own speech. If you remember, I showed you one of the app and I took you through the app where the patient has called our center and spoke to an intelligent bot. And from the patient voice, the panic in the patient voice, the kind of urgency, they could make out that they try to make out whether there is a heart attack or not. So that is a health condition through which, even in the mental disease also, the doctor try to make out from the patient way of speaking, how they are speaking and what way they are speaking, all those kind, they can make out the diseases. So natural language processing application, let's look into that. So when we say NLP application, understanding how basically it helps in increasing our productivity and decrease our workload, there are many things which it does, like email filtering. I just gave you a kind of a example about email filtering, that we get piles and piles of mails every day, and from every resources some mails come are work related, some are from some schools, maybe we are searching for that university, schools applying for jobs, some are spam, some are promotional mails. So NLP, just now I told you that it also filter your mail into important and spam. It try to understand the spam mail and the characteristic of the spam mail and try to differentiate between a mail which you will be receiving and what are the spam mail. And maybe sometime it gives you a chance also to identify. Language translation. Language translation, just now I told you that it's very important. So email is a machine learning model which basically try to categorize email into important and not spam mail. Then you have language translations. Then you have smart assistants. So you speak to Alexa, you speak to Siri, then whatever you're speaking, if you remember, I told you in one of the session that I ask my students when I'm in the class that take out Siri and say, Siri, can you marry me? And give me the answer. And the answers are really amazing because the Siri gives a lot of witty answers. It doesn't say that I don't understand, because it's an intelligent assistant. So it try to add certain humor by saying that you're not my type. And sometimes it may say that, okay, you can find somebody better, or let's be friend. The Siri try to answer just like people. So that's the ability of NLP to understand and answer anything, whether it has been trained on it or not trained on it. Okay. So natural language processing is also used in as I told you, in the review process. So that already I told you. to understand the customer satisfaction, the customer is happy, sad, or what it is. So it's basically to understand by, and as if you remember the in GPT, when I was speaking about generative AI, I was talking about how language or sentence can be broken into different parts of speech, which is called tokenization. And then stemming, I told you the stem word like is the banker and banking, the stem word is bank. So those are linguistic feature. This linguistic feature, how we understand, need to be trained into AI model, and that's what the NLP does. Okay. So some more example I can give you, like for example, document analysis. Okay. So NLP application in document analysis, like in companies, colleges, schools, and in other places, you fill forms, right? And you have a lot of data which have to be maintained and which you have to search for. So all you can do it with the help of NLP. You just have to search a keyword which can be categorized into the instructions, and you can save it so that you can save it the information in a organized folders and files, so that later on when you want to search for any information, it is very easily searched. Okay, so that's one example. Okay, so this is a kind of example which I was telling you. So let's understand certain components of NLP. So NLP has two components. One is called sentence segmentations, and the other one is called word tokenization. So when you're talking about sentence segmentations, sentence segment is the first step in NLP pipeline. That means it breaks the paragraph into separate sentences. Okay, so let's consider this paragraph which is on the screen. So it's a paragraph which is there. So you can see that how sentences are segmented here. So you can see stuck, nightmare, bad, prove, classify, chop, drive, done. All these are highlighted because this must be related to some kind of data which they are going to try to see. And then just a minute. So what happens basically, first it try to take out the important words from that sentences. And the second thing what it does is, in the second step, it does a tokenization. The word tokenization means breaking the sentence into separate word or tokens. Okay. So separate word or tokens is like, for example, it can be if you are giving an ad on tutorials. So it will be on training, it will be summer training, online training. Those are called the tokenization. You will pick up certain frequently used words. And then the next part is called stemming, which I told you. For example, if you have a word called playing, play, played, the stem word for that is play. So try to take out, for example, if you are using I am, are, is, so the stem word is be. Car, cars, and all these stem word is car. So what is the root word? That is called stemming. This I told you in the last session also. So intelligency is, and one more thing is there. One, let me finish it. So after stemming, the other word which comes, what the last process which comes is called lemmatization. Okay. So what happens in the lemmatization? So what they do is, in the lemmatization is very similar to stemming, but it is used for different inflected form of the word called lemma. So the main difference between stemming and lemmatization, it produces a root word which has a meaning. For example, in lemmatization, the word intelligence, intelligent, intelligently has a root word intelligent, which has a meaning. Okay. So identify, and then the next thing which comes is the identifying the stop word. So there are a lot of stop word, for example, which are very frequently used, like is, and, the pipeline. So it basically, NLP try to flag these stop words, flag the stem words, flag the tokenization, helps in understanding the the part of speeches. So example, if we say he's a good boy. So when you are building a rock, so he's a good boy is again a good boy is a stopping word here, not the full stop. So there are different things. I'm not going to go deep into it. So I'll just was trying to tell you something. So I'll move to computer vision. You have understood the base contents of NLP, that how we try not to understand the meaning of the spoken word or the written text, or also try to understand the context behind that. and intelligently. That's the intelligence we require in NLP. Now let's talk about computer vision. So you can see here, and one of the examples, so you can see the driverless car, which basically drive, and they have cameras and sensors, and these sensors and the camera take the input, and this input the camera which take the input on the picture of 60 meters surrounding the car, the basically through the computer vision, they try to take that input and understand and classify whether it is a obstacle, or is it a signal where it need to be stopped, or it's a obstacle, is in the form of animals. For example, you are driving and suddenly there's an animal which is in front, or it may be a man crossing the road, or it can be anything. So they try to basically understand that. So that's about computer vision. So computer vision is a subfield of artificial intelligence. It deals with the acquiring, processing, and analyzing the visual data, digital images or videos, such like things. So now, day to day, how does computer vision work? So now the example of the computer vision, some of the example I may give you. But before that, let's understand the technique. So what it does, it basically, computer vision is a technique which extracts information from visual data. Just now I told you, like images and video. So computer vision works similarly to just like a human eye, where our human eye is an input to our brain, and whatever we see, it goes into our brain, and human brain operate and try to solve the visual object recognition. So it tried to recognize those visual objects. So in certain level, the computer vision is all about pattern recognitions, which include training the processes of machine system for understanding the visual data, just like this, and images and the videos. So that example already I have given you in table machine with google.com on the no code AI platform, where you can feed a lot of images and categorize into two different categories. And then you can use a test data and identity. And when you are training the AI model with those images and giving a classification those image classification tags. And remember that one example I gave you in one of the session on how a company called Wild Track in Africa, Namibia, they took the help of SAS Vidya company, AI company, to protect endangered animals, cheetah. And if you remember in that case study, I have shown you a video that how do they take the pictures of the footprints of cheetah, and there are a lot of tribal indigenous trackers. Those people looking at the cheetah footprint, and a footprint, they can first understand this is cheetah's footprint. They can understand the gender, they can also understand the age, they can also understand where they are going and how many are left. And in this way, they can find out in those acres of forest that where is the place where these cheetah can be found and how they can protect them. So from poaching. So what they have done, they have gathered through crowdsourcing millions and millions of image of those cheetahs footprint, and they use the expert knowledge of these indigenous trackers and coded that and trained the machine, trained the AI. So AI with those image data got trained and helped in understanding and interpreting from the image whether that just like a tracker, that whether the cheetah footprint is a male footprint or female cub, what is the age, what is the place where they are going, and all these what the normal local tribal people can do. So that's a computer vision ability of AI I'm talking about. So now, when you're saying that we provide visual data of millions, if you remember in one of the examples, I said that I put some pictures of dogs, and I also put some pictures of mob, and I classified into one category, dog images into dog and mob into mob. And then I trained the model with those images. And then I put an image of a different dog, which was not there in the, and tried the machine was able to, the solution, it was able to basically categorize that whether it's a dog or not with certain accuracy, not 100%, because as I said that more data you provide, variety of volume of data you provide, better as a result or prediction. So that's the example of computer vision. So computer learn from this data, they analyze each pictures. This is the one which I told you. So they analyze each pictures, the photo, the shape, the distance between the object, the background, the color, and identify the pattern, Like, for example, the cat and dog, if I have to put, so the cats and generate a model, we can train the model. So you can contain huge image or volume of data of dogs of all varieties with different background, dog doing a lot of things. They're, holding leash or walking, jumping, all those kinds of image in variety forms you put, and then put images of cats in variety form, and then train the AI model. So the computer vision will be now this is how the computer can be trained with the help of images. Okay. So what are the applications of now computer vision? That's all we're going to understand. It's a very advanced innovation now in that in AI and machine learning. So there is an increased demand of AI and machine learning technologies. So computer vision has become a center of attraction for many companies now, and many companies are doing a lot of research in this, trying to come out with new applications. So like industries like retail, security, healthcare, automotive, even in agriculture also. So one of the very important application is facial recognition. So the computer vision has enabled the machine to detect the face image of people, basically to identify them or to unlock the system with the help of face, like your phones or your laptops. So machines are given the input data image in which the computer vision algorithm detect your facial features, the features which are like it makes a 3D map of your face, and the features which cannot be changed. Even may your face may change, and but there are certain features in your face which will not change, like your bone structures and all. Okay. So social media, popular social media like Facebook, they also are using the facial recognition system to detect and tag users. Right? You have group photos and you move your cursor on the certain people on the group, it will show you the user, and you can tag with that. So that is also something which is doing. Various government spy agencies and all these people, they are also using the uh, you know um, the features, this facial recognition feature, to identify a criminal in video feeds from the camera on the roads. Now let's talk about healthcare industry and medicine. So computer vision is playing very important role in healthcare industry. They are basically used in evaluating the cancerous, tumors, which I have shown you one example of that. Okay. Is there any questions? I can take that. You can put it in the chat box. Okay. So traditional approaches like, if you remember, how you can detect cancer tumor, especially the lung or maybe brain tumor, using certain scans or MRI or something like that. We take 2D visions, 2D scan, which cannot be identified because in early stages, the cancers are very difficult to predict, especially the lung cancer. So how do you predict that? And how one case studies which we have done, where the Google has collaborated with Northern Western Medical University and came out with a research paper on Nature Medicine, and they came out with a technology which is now widely used by healthcare industry. Then the next example I can talk about is self-driving vehicles, autonomous vehicles. So Tesla, Google, or maybe any other car, they are using the computer vision technology to help assisting the car in self-driving, and they can look into different angles. The camera captures the photos or take the videos, like in Google car Waymo, they have a lidar on the top which take 360-degree, and they have a windscreen video camera which record the picture of surrounding of the car and the video, all the objects 60 meters surrounding the car. It also read the traffic signals. It also take the pictures of pedestrian on the path, so that those input goes into AI. AI, just like a human driver, interpret those picture and try to analyze and drive car accordingly. It will take a decision whether to slow down, change the lane, stop the car, accelerate, and all this. And the next example is also the OCR, optical character recognitions. Like, for example, the handwritten text from visual data such as images and all, from the image, like voice, documents like invoices and bills. You can just feed it into system and then you can recognize what it is. Signs and languages. the language translators. So on the road, if you see on a foreign country that there's something written, you can use a translator and you can understand what it means. Then I talk about retail industry. So retail industries, the computer vision. So Amazon has one, 6 retailing shop in US, which is called Amazon Pay and Go. So there you don't have to go to the billing counter and stop and wait for the queue to clear your bill. You just have to use scan your Amazon app on when you come inside, and there's an RFID which tracks your detail, and whatever you are taking from the shelf, those products are tracked, and their entire thing can be taken into this thing. An AI based computer vision technique automatically charge the customer for the product which you have put into the smart trolley. So that's one example of that. In Target is also using that. 3D model building, which is using to generate 3D digital image models. So 3D model is also using the visions of computer vision application. We are using also robotic and autonomous driver. It's used there also in 3D tracking, in 3D using AR and VR, like in metaverse also you're using that. Then the next example is medical imaging. So computer vision can help in the doctors and medical professionals to take better decision regarding treatment of the patient by visualizing the specific body part, like your organs and tissues, from a scan reports or something like that. So they can give a better patient care, using that. So there's a thing called computed tomography, CT, which is nowadays used in certain machines. Then MRI use something called magnetic response imaging scanner to diagnose something and to come out with the results, which are automatically through AI predicted that what it is. Motive safety. So the cars and all, which I gave you example, the certain cars which are not autonomous, like BMW or Mercedes, even in Lexus, they have the self parking system. They have also certain kinds of sensors and also the camera to detect the nearby object and assist the driver and prevent accident. So that is also there. Then other example is the surveillance. The computer vision is very important. Today, CCTV cameras are fitted with almost fitted in every places. You may see it on street, you may see on the road, highways, and there are basically what it does, it records and try to identify criminal activities. For example, somebody beating someone or those kinds of activities are not normal. So basically what happens is computer vision also try to identify the differentiate between the normal activity, regular pattern and irregular pattern. Regular pattern is that on the road the car will be going, the people will be walking, there'll be nothing. No, but suddenly there is an irregular pattern that somebody is beating someone or somebody is snatching somebody's bag. All those are suspicious activity. So AI model is trained. Again, they have to put certain kinds of images of these activities which are irregular and make the AI, train the AI or the AI model to understand the difference between a normal activity and suspicious behavior. So that's something which the in US or in Europe they are doing it now. And then is a fingerprint recognition system, the biometric. But biometric essentially is not using, but in some places, like in NASA or in servers room, the data centers, they are using these kinds of physiological characters like your face, your fingerprint, your vascular pattern, your iris scan, and all those kinds, even sometimes your speech pattern also, to understand whether you're the same person or you have tried to look like somebody and try to enter the system in some sensitive area. So there's a lot of transformative uh, transformation which is happening basically in healthcare industry, from predictive analytics to like prediction or future diseases and all, to exploration of new diseases, new features, new healthcare facilities are happening because of computer vision, the medical image recognitions. Because see, every time if you see, the computer visions are widely used in image recognition, especially medical, like your X-ray to CT scans, your MRI, your medical professions are basically trying to examine all these complexes images where the radiologist gives sometime a false positive and false negative report. So what they're doing is with the help of AI, they're able to diagnose and have fewer false positive and fewer error report. Okay. So diagnostic imaging techniques are something where the computer vision is widely used nowadays. So one example I will give you if I can get, yeah. So this is one example which I've taken. This is a tradition colonoscopy test. And this is an image which you can see here. It looks a little dirty, but that is the image. This test involved a manual search to detect a polyp in the large intestine. It's very difficult actually to move into the large intestine, because large intestine, you can know that it's curly, it's curled around. So no scan can move into the thing. But there is a test called colonoscopy. So in colon, what they do is the computer vision technology basically help the doctors to analyze the internal organ, the internal part or the walls of this colons or intestine more accurately. So that's a kind of a one example which I can give you here. And it's like accuracy is not 100% till now, but it is there. So basically, if I summarize, it can help in healthcare industry to early diagnose disease. Generations, the reports, results, all can be put into nowadays into healthcare app, and it can determine your conditions. It can see a particular image, and what is not possible to interpret from the normal human vision can be interpreted using AI or computer vision. Then you have enhanced medical facilities which can be provided. So better treatment, less number of stay in the hospitals, and the better is the accuracy. Okay. So these are the use cases of computer vision in healthcare: radiology, oncology, cardiology, dermatology, lab test. Everywhere now we can see this is used. Okay. And all these are used. So I'm just going to go ahead. Okay. So let me see if the video is playing. Okay, it's not playing. I don't know. These videos are not playing now. Let me try out. Okay. So with this, I may stop it here, and I may move to the next part of the session, which I may continue in the next session also, because we have not much time left. Is there any question I can take, students? No? So we'll now talk about AI and security. I'll show you some example first, and then we'll move to AI and security. Okay, fine. Okay, so let's learn now that if in security industry, how AI is being used. Just a minute. Just give me 1 second. Just give me a few seconds, students. I'm trying to open the PowerPoint. Okay, let's start. So I'll continue the session in the next class also. So artificial intelligence basically in cybersecurity. So normally I was asking you in the last session also that should I, talk about the cybersecurity, and you said no, ma'am, please focus on AI. So we'll talk about a little bit background of cybersecurity, and then we go ahead with the or maybe threats. So the rise in cyber attack is basically something which is fueling the growth of AI, and that's the reason why the global market of AI, especially in cybersecurity product, is reaching to more than 133.8 billion dollar. So by 2030 it will be around more than 140 billion dollar. So the reason being that hackers are taking advantage, and they are also using AI. So the AI generated phishing mails are happening nowadays. So it is not no longer the manual way. Uh, and also the increased number of attack like DDoS, distributed denial of services, lot of data breaches, all those are there. So that's why the companies are also trying to find a solution using AI. They can find out these kinds of threat and be proactive before it attacks. Because if you are reactive, then already damage is done. So uh, when we say that we acquire knowledge and store this knowledge in as a permanent source, then we are not giving any chance for these knowledge to get upgraded or updated. So like for example, when we are using the antivirus on our computers, initially it used to happen, I still remember 15 years back, we used to buy antivirus and we used to install with the help of CD, and those were permanent. Today we have a all web updation, even for your operating system. So developer patches, these updation, what it does, it try to understand the market. This is also a market. Try to understand how these cyber crime work. You remember in most of the movies where you have seen that normally uh, the police officers or the CBI or FBI, they always say that if you want to understand and solve a case, you can't think like a police officer. You have to think like a criminal. So similarly, these kinds of solutions are now updated with new security patches so that it can deal with those kinds of threat which are coming. So this is where the collective learning happening and rational decisions happening. So artificial intelligence, which are demonstrated by the machines, are doing the same thing. It is trying to mimic the cognitive behavior of human being. So this is what the AI is trying to do, like how a police officer will use his experience, his expertise, and understand that there is a new way this particular criminal might be working. So we require a new way of thinking. The old way, how we have been trained or how my mind is trained with the kind of experience and the kind of learning I have, may not work in this case. So similar kind of cognitive behavior need to be updated or demonstrated by these machines. Okay. So now when we want AI to solve some common industry and security problem, we refer to the creation of intelligent agent. And these intelligent agents is a machine or a software or a system that has a goal to complete. And this goal is security goal. And this goal is by sensing, learning, and acting. Three parts. So what do? We have to create a AI bot or a AI agent, intelligent agent. This intelligent agent will have should maximize the probability of completing the assigned goal by sensing, learning, and acting, just like a human being. It has to mimic that. Okay. So that's one of the focus of the intelligent agent. So we have human agent. So that's why I'm calling it intelligent agent, just like a CBI agent or any other agent, which are related to cybersecurity. So intelligent agent is a machine or a software or a system, as I said, that which will maximize the probability of goal completion by sensing, learning, and acting. For example, a commonly used household, if you take an example of floor cleaning robot, will it exhibit that kind of intelligence? No, because it's not meant for it. It is a general AI. It will do the task which is assigned to him. Similarly, a housemaid, there is a probability can become a spy, but because she doesn't have expertise or training on training how to deal with crime, she cannot. So we need to create an AI enabled robot which can sense its surrounding, just like a cleaning robot. Okay. So we have those cleaning vacuum cleaners, intelligent vacuum cleaners, which can sense around the surroundings, like where's the stairs, where the opticals, whether it's a wet, dirt, or it's a dry dirt, it's a hair of the pet or something, and or it's a mop, it is a floor. So what it does, it basically create a map of the floor and try to learn from its mistakes or trial and error method, the correction. It change in the baseline of the map. Suppose we have kept a chair somewhere and we want to remove that chair. Suddenly that change it will understand. So that's an example of an household. So why I'm giving you this example is because I'm trying to compare this with the AI intelligent agent, which will also change according to the situation, according to the change in anything. It should adopt that. So the new security, when we hear about anything new in the cybersecurity arena, like breach or loss of confidential data, or maybe it's a hacking, or it's a ransomware, it's a DOS attack, or it's anything, the organizations are losing lot and lots of revenue because of these attacks, and because of these damages sometimes the business hamper. There are a lot of examples like that. And the organization trying to come out with this kind of situation, and suddenly something new comes up, and every organization is spending a lot or investing a lot basically so that their data or any kind of data, whether it is confidential or non-confidential, it should not be exposed. Okay. So the society and the technology, our environment in the security region is evolving. It's still evolving, right? So most of the companies are basically trying to now migrate their data into even the initially it was how do you protect your financial data or maybe health data. But today, the companies are not only protecting their financial data as the most sensitive data, but also the personal data, social interaction, and digital format. For example, I'll give you one example. In 2014, there was an attack on Sony, Limited Entertainment Limited in US in California. So one fine day, when the employees came into the office and they found on their screen that there was their screen has frozen and there was a warning, and it said that we have frozen your data, and this is a link where you can find that we have taken all your data and we have made a copy of it, and we will release all these data in the public if you don't if you don't meet our demands, and we will tell our demands later. These employees were not, they thought it's a joke, but they were not able to do anything with their system because everything was frozen, everything was encrypted. And later on they were not able to find out, and it became a huge issue because then suddenly they found they were not able to identify the source of this attack. It was a ransomware attack, and it was not they were asking for any ransom. There was a movie which was getting released called The Interview, and where the North Korean leader Jim Yong Kong was shown in a very bad picture. It was actually a funny movie, but these attackers, they asked that this movie should not be released. So initially the government, all it became a very big news because it was they threatened them that if they release this movie in the theater, they're going to release all the personal details of their employees, including the salary slip, their social security number, their address, their income, everything on, and some unreleased movie on the social media platform for anybody to access that. So the government also got involved. At that, Obama was the US president. He came forward and he said that, we are not so weak that anybody can come and give us some kind of a threatening like this and we bend down. And they thought it's a North Korea which is behind, but North Korea came up with a statement saying, we're not behind the stack, but we are not the one who have done this. But we are happy that it has happened. So ultimately, they could not track down, and because the government said we will not bend down, but Sony has to suffer a huge loss. All unreleased movies, the aliases names, the secrets of certain, the contact information of all the huge celebrities in the Hollywood who were the clients of Sony Entertainment Limited were released on the social media platform, and the employee information. Now, what happened during this time? Because what has happened is Sony did not consider the employee information as the most confidential and did not encrypt those data and did not provide that kind of security which normally they will provide it to a financial data. And that's the reason why these data which became very vulnerable and these were taken away. And these data were released on the public platform. And Sony has to suffer a huge loss. So this is not the one story. Students, there are a lot of stories like that. So sometimes it happens that even the companies are now taking care of the data related to the social interaction with the customers on the social sites. Or maybe the data from the smartphone, or maybe anything like your WhatsApp data, or whatever it is. So the migration, some of the companies are considering migrating these kinds of data because they can't keep it on the server. They have to enhance, so it's on the cloud. Okay. So 90% of the world data, which is now created in the last 2 years, most of the companies have migrated and created this a separate security, because in the cloud, they may have those kinds of security. Okay. So the organization is going through a huge transformation now. And this is digitization of the personal information is also one of the reason in that. So by moving their workflow and workload to the clouds, and also the world of sensors are coming up, which basically continuously give them inputs. There are a lot of industrial devices which are equipped with these sensors and cameras. Connectivity, everything is connected. IoT is playing a huge role in the enterprises. So there is a kind of a storm which has resulted in a massive explosion in this volume of data which organizations are now required to protect. Okay. So The traditional approach was that there will be a team of security professionals which will provide three kind of security: technical, administrative, and there is one more which is called the organizational level security. Okay, so today it has gone beyond that. Okay, the technical security, it try to now the every organization is trying to attempt to find out how AI can assist you in securing your data. So here we start, students. So artificial intelligence enable you to create intelligent agent, as I told you, which will not only protect your data, which will also spy and find out that whether there is somebody planning to attack you, just like army. So there's a strategy which is made by these security professionals nowadays. So it can identify these agents. What is the role of these agents is that they try to identify whether there is a weakness or loophole in the millions of lines of code of software maybe the engineers might have written. They can identify the abnormality in the user logins, and they can even spot a malware for which the signature does not exist. So behind the scene, the intelligent agent shift through massive amount of data and learn from its identifying the pattern, because again the data is important. More volume, variety of data you provide, it can train the AI better or with a better accuracy or prediction. So the trained intelligent agent is now put into the line of defense, and it has learned into action by analyze all the incoming data that the agent has never seen before and try to analyze which data is suspicious or not. So how does an artificial intelligent agent actually help a security professional? It does it by three mechanisms. Okay. And the first is uncover the data pattern that would have been extremely difficult for the human mind to analyze. And it then classify or categorize the data and present the pattern to the security professional to assist in the analysis. So most advanced intelligent agent goes one step further. It makes recommendation also to the security professional on what action can be taken. And so this is one thing which they do is which they do. So one minute. Hmm. So your organization is already every organization has a very competent and experienced security professional, technical team I'm talking about. I'm not talking about security people in the physical form. Okay, I'm talking about security professionals who prepare the security solutions for the company. So organization also have certain security policies and processes. They may use certain tools which can keep your intellectual assets or property protected. In fact, artificial intelligence argument your current people, process, and tool. It enhances their capability. So it has a potential to do the things, basically prevention, detection, and response. Okay, so what are they basically doing is, so this is the one which I was telling you. So the work of an artificial intelligence at present, where the AI is working, is to prevent any kind of attack or any threat and detect if it is already happening in the very initial stage and respond to it, take action to it. So the most effective and least expensive way to protect your organization from any security threat is to prevent any security vulnerability. As we sometimes like to call them, the security bugs are appearing in the environment. So initially, only before it create damage, prevention. So using AI, you can scan the source code with a better accuracy and have a fewer false positive, and help the engineers discover security bug before they deploy application to the production environment. So the process of threat modeling. Okay, just let me go. Yeah, this is one. So what helps in the prevention? The first step is prevention, where it try to scan the source code and help the engineers to identify the the most vulnerable spore or any bug before they deploy the solution. And then is the threat modeling, which is done at the architect or designing stage of development. And this basically what? It allows the engineer to discover potential threat from an adversary point of view. Maybe there's a vulnerable point where it can be attacked. So threat modeling has been a manual process initially. Now it's not. So it continues to be the area where the security engineer requires actually a lot of creativity and knowledge from the security professionals. So AI in threat modeling is still evolving. It is still in the research process. There's a lot of innovation which is still happening in this. Okay. So many off the shelf product is also available for people which can basically detect malware. Now the second process is called detection. So in detection, there are a lot of software available for anybody to buy and apply that. It's a general software with AI capability, which can help in detecting the malware, intrusions, user behavior anomalies. So AI is assisting the security professional also in responding to the threats. The third thing. And suppose it is already attacked, your system is already attacked. So now what you can do? So AI provided recommendation how to deal with this threat with a less damage. So that's how the security response team take the help of AI to come out with automatic mitigation of that particular threat. Okay, let's see if this video.
So where do I think AI will be in 5 to 10 years? While the possibilities are endless, I believe the most consequential will be secure application development. My name is Sridhar Mapidi. I'm the CTO for IBM Security. Our clients are going through a digital transformation journey. They're modernizing applications, data, and infrastructure. IBM delivers a number of security solutions to help our clients protect, detect, and respond. But the reality is that security professionals that use our offerings are inundated with too many things to do, too much of data, very little time, and too few skills. AI can have a huge impact on cybersecurity solutions and the professionals. Since the inception of AI, we've learned that to make the right AI system, we need the right data. We need to train the AI model on the right data, test it for bias, as well as to ensure that it is robust. On the solution side, AI can help us provide accuracy in detection. AI can help in accelerating the investigation and automating the response. It can also help provide proactive mechanisms of protection so that you're safeguarding against threats. We made a massive investment on AI in IBM, and 100% of our products use AI. My favorite solution is how we use AI to do a continuous verification of a user based on behavioral biometrics. This helps us evaluate the risk of a specific user for a specific session. So based on that, we're able to subject the user to the right amount of friction. If the risk is low, we don't need to subject the user for multiple passwords. On the other hand, if the risk is high, you may want to prompt the user for a password or even a second factor authentication. We're very fortunate to have a large number of our clients using our solutions across a number of different industry verticals. A few that come to my mind are Wimbledon, Sogeti, as well as RGS Nordic. This is exactly where we apply AI's speed and accuracy to help create proactive protection, improve the accuracy of detection, accelerate the investigation, as well as improve the automation in response. We have a lot more to learn and evolve the maturity of AI in the next few decades to come. While the possibilities are endless, my vision is for AI to develop secure applications by default so that they are not as vulnerable and reduce the number of breaches in the industry. I believe IBM is well poised to not only help with the secure application development, but also secure data across hybrid cloud, as well as secure infrastructure. This ability to secure the journey to hybrid cloud will help our clients embrace digital transformation with a lot more confidence.
Okay, just a minute.
So where do I?
Okay, so let's talk about the discipline of AI, which is basically used as the capability to provide a security to the organization intellectual assets. So there are 6 fundamental capability which is required to be built basically, and these capabilities also required to pass the famous Alan Turing test proposed by Alan Turing. You remember one of the session I told to check the intelligence of the machine we use Turing test. So the 6 capability or the discipline which are the first one is the ability to understand natural language, spoken or written. Just sorry, just now I conducted that session. And the next one is ability to store and process information, the ability to reason, ability to learn from new information, the ability to see and perceive object in the environment, the context, as I told you, the ability to manipulate and move physical objects. So while some advanced agent may possess all these 6 capabilities, I'm talking about intelligent agent in security. But in order to reap the benefit of AI for security, you have to, you do not actually need all of them, okay, in an intelligent agent. For example, if you are building or deploying AI-based network intrusion detection system, then the system does not need the ability to see or physically manipulate object, but it must have the ability to store, process, and learn from enormous amount of network logs. So on the other hand, an AI powered security or surveillance system. So a surveillance robot in the camera watching the entrance of a data center must have the ability to see and distinguish a person from a deer. So when you know the data here, when it is catching that what is a people walking trying to enter into your, so it should be the ability to have a system to distinguish between that. So the minimum artificial intelligence system which can be employed in the field of security can process out of these 6 capabilities some common capabilities. Like one of the common capability all should be storing and processing large volume of data. In the field of security, this data is usually in the form of logs from network devices, from workstations, then okay, and then from API calls and all. So they identify a pattern in the data. Just now I said, for example, they can determine that a user logins every day. I'll just show you. Okay. Okay, that example is not here. Let me check if that example, if I've placed, no, it's not placed here. Okay. So I'm just giving you one more example to make you understand this. So let's say as I said, that they need to identify a pattern in the unusual pattern in the data. So for example, if they can determine that a user logs in every day between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. from the Pacific time zone, they automatically learn from the new information. For example, if they can notice a change that the same user now connects via VPN, virtual private network, and the location has changed. Every Friday he connects through VPN, but from a home location. So that means between Monday to Thursday, he's joining from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. from Pacific time zone, which will be an office location. But on Friday, he must be joining through VPN, and that's a home location on Friday. Location is also changed. So they make a recommendation or take actions if they find that there is an unusual network login information, which is from unidentified network and unidentified location. Okay. So a cloud provider identify and access management system can calculate this scores. Okay. So this is one example where even the e-commerce companies are using, but those are not very intelligent or advanced intelligent agent, because they try to identify from your IP address, your location, and the device from where you're connecting. In case if you change your device or location, they may immediately send you a verification mail to identify, and you see, yeah, it's me, and then they go ahead with that. So those are very small method, but organization may use a more advanced, signals and most advanced recommendation and prediction to do the corrective action. So among all the discipline of AI, the discipline of learning is very important in security. So they have the ability to learn from input data and the security system, so that we cannot use here the structured or limitation of programming a rule-based approach. So there are two kind of approach. For example, in the cleaning robot example, which I gave you in the previous slides, it's an engine. So you have a pre-programmed approach where a particular robot who can make a combination of map and obstacles of all stage and try to relearn and understand there's a change. The variations can be understood. But in case of AI powered malware detection system, for example, it is not pre-programmed with list of virus signatures, because maybe there is a new virus signatures which can suddenly evolve in your system. So if you pre-program with certain characteristic and list of virus signatures, if the new virus signature comes, it won't identify that. So the data scientist rather train the malware detection system to identify program execution patterns that are not normal. So how exactly is the learning approach different from traditional structure programming approach? Because you need to have a learning approach for this intelligent agent. In the traditional programming approach, if you see here, it is in the slide, a software engineers identify all possible inputs and the condition, it defines all the condition that software will be subjected to, and then create a software program that is able to handle those kinds of input. So known input, known conditions. If the program receive an input that is not designed for the program, it will be failed to handle those situations. So unknown situation, unknown input, it won't identify, it will not be working with that. There's nothing wrong with this. Most of the organizations are still using those approach, and antivirus also. But most software program developed today follow, and they also follow the traditional programming approach. But if you are searching for a security threat by combining through HTTP or SQL server logs in the programming approach, your security scanner will continuously look for a parameter that are not within the limits or within the defined input and situations. So intelligence of the security scanner is bound by your ability to foresee the possible combinations and varieties in the input and the conditions. So in a learning based approach, you or your data scientist team first identify training data. You remember in the example also I've shown you. So you have to feed the computer with the training data, which could be a source code, which could be a log file, which can be a program execution context. Next, you feed this data to machine learning model to train the model on the data you already have at hand. And at the end of successful training of this large data, okay, you arrive at the best fit model that is ready to act on new incoming data. So what happens? You train the data with a huge log file, huge source code, and try to make the computer learn from these, that how to identify a potential threat in the security environment. So that's how it is working. Okay. So students, let me see the timing. Okay. Okay, one more slide and then we'll wind up the session. So there is a term which is used in the security, which you might have heard when you basically send a message in the WhatsApp. It comes up at end-to-end encryption or end-to-end security framework. So from end-to-end encryption means you are very happy. Okay, my message is encrypted, and when it reaches to the receiver, it will be encrypted, or it must be stored in the encrypted form. But is that all the 100% security? No, it is not. End-to-end security framework, what does it mean? So regardless of whatever industry or the nature of business, all organizations, they all share same kind of security threats, and the objective of securing their data is also same. So we will now understand the fundamental foundational concept as a stepping stone in the terminologies. So basically, there are certain terms which I want you people to understand before we go ahead and before we try to understand how the AI is working here. Okay, let's see one by one. These are some courses which you can do, like cybersecurity foundation course with AI, and developing the secure software courses, which you can do it. Okay, these courses are little useful. It will be give you the in-depth covering of security with AI, and so these are very, very important, because if you want to develop, see, AI can be developed anywhere. It will also make you understand the process which has to be, because if everything, whenever you develop a solution, you need to first understand the process very clearly. So every organization try to achieve three very important objectives in security. Is confidentiality objective, to ensure that the data and the assets are protected from unauthorized access. The integrity objective, which basically ensure that the data and assets are not altered or edited by unauthorized access. And then is the availability object, which means that your data and resources should be accessed, which should be accessed without any interruption for the organizational or authorized user. So it may not come across as obvious, but organization usually make a trade-off and place some objective above the others. For some, the confidentiality may be above, some integrity is above, some for some availability. So it depends. Like e-commerce, availability is the most important, that it should be available to the customers all the time, 24/7. Okay, so let's take some example. When you turn off the power supply and locking the entrance of the data center, let's say you want to protect your data center from unauthorized access. So, your data center are mostly not disclosed to people. Nobody knows where is the Google storing your Gmail. So if you want to secure it, can you turn off the power supply and lock the entrance of the data center? Will you achieve the goal of confidentiality and integrity at 100%? Maybe to some extent, but not 100%. Right? And what happens if you switch off your data center? What will happen? The availability objective will be not achieved. That means your data will not be available for the entire organization. Suppose there is a threat and you want to prevent that threat, and you switch off your data center, make it, your data is unavailable to the entire, your business is interrupted. So how you secure information and resources without interrupting your services? So there should be a proper framework of defensive and offensive technology. And this is how the entire company, not within the security functions, but it should be integrated within the entire company process. Not only you can say, okay, my security professionals, because everybody should know that. Now we would talk about that also, that how the security team is not the only person who is responsible for securing. They may provide solution to prevent it, but ultimately security is a responsibility, is everyone's responsibility. So you start by applying security control that help prevent a security attack from the first place in incept. As I said, prevention, detection, response. Remember this. So preventive controls are always better. Sooner or later, you will find a sign you can identify using a software solution, the internal and external threat to your enterprises. You may be able to detect those of activities as soon as possible before it create any damage. And that prediction can help from AI. AI can help you in predicting those kinds of damage and detecting those before it creates harm, before it attacks and paralyze your entire system. So regardless of whether the attack is an attempt or turned into a security incident, you want to come out with a response team. You want to act upon it as fast as possible before it spill over it damages. So at every stage, there are lessons to be learned. There are opportunity and feedback. There is a corrective steps which has to be taken. So for that, what is important is a feedback loop. The feedback is very, very important So what happens in AI integrated security solution? You have a machine learning model, which new threat intelligence, it discover a behavior pattern, it discover the attack vectors, and at the same time, this machine learning takes a feedback and relearn. So there is no traditional approach of one static learning. So we go through the example of security control at each steps of this learning, which I told you. So let's take a professional, organization. How do you? So I'll show you some data also before I go to that example. This actually, if you see the entire scenario of security professional in the industry, there's a huge shortage of qualified professionals across the world. Okay, and the number of attack and now the innovation in the attack is actually creating huge panic in the industry. The organizations are looking for those professionals who are trained in AI but can develop security solutions with AI integration into it. And for that, students, understanding of the environment, understanding of the various threat and the way the threat attack is very, very important. Then only you can develop the solutions. So the scale problem is very, very high. Let me see what's the time now. Okay, so I'll just stop here because I will continue this in the next session. I want you people to tell me if there is any questions. Yeah, students, is there any questions so far? No? Okay, so we wind up the session now. Okay, then see you next week on 29th, and then we will continue the sessions, and we'll also take question answers if you have any or any queries. Okay. So, okay, bye for the day. Have a nice day.